Cut. Stop. Welcome back to Cinema Surfer. It's 2026, new year, new hair, all of that good stuff. This is a channel where we go back and rewatch movies from our childhood and just take time to enjoy the things we like in life. So with that being said, Avengers Doomsday comes out this year, 2026. And I was really thinking about what Marvel movies do I go back and rewatch. And I thought, do I go back with like Iron Man and watch all of the MCU movies with the Avengers and all of that? But to be honest, I've seen those movies multiple times. So instead, I thought, you know what? What if I just go all the way back to one of the very first Marvel movies and rewatch the original X-Men? The X-Men are supposedly coming back for Avengers Doomsday. We're going to see how that all plays out. I'm kind of excited to see it. But all that being said, remember to like and subscribe. And we're going to go ahead and jump into 2000's X-Men by Bryan Singer.
Mutation. It is the key to our evolution. It has
Charles Xavier, my man.
An organism into the dominant species on the planet. But every few hundred millennia, evolution leaps forward.
So a couple of things with this movie, right off the bat, it is directed by Bryan Singer. It was the first big Marvel production movie. The only one that came before it was Blade. But to me, this was the first big superhero movie. Pretty intense way to open a movie about, mutants and superheroes. Of all the Marvel villains, I do think Magneto might be the most complex because he is a pretty genuine dude about what he wants. He just goes about it the wrong way sometimes, depending on your philosophy and whether or not you agree with him. Humana. Get up.
Great. You call an ambulance?
I do like the Southern Rogue from the X-Men animated series. Sugar?
Are mutants dangerous?
I'm afraid that's an unfair question, Senator Kelly. After all, the wrong person behind the wheel of a car can be dangerous.
I know Bryan Singer's kind of a weird dude as a director and, his personal life, but I do love the subtle nods to the Phoenix he puts with Jean Grey. He always has her in the color red, which is cool.
Senator
And there are even rumors, Miss Grey, of mutants so powerful that they can enter our minds and control our thoughts.
Professor X. You ever notice the X's on the building right there?
Don't give up on the marriage.
What would you have me do, Charles? I've heard these arguments before.
Mankind has evolved since then.
Yes, into us.
I feel like these two guys barely age.
You're sneaking around in here, Charles.
I'm looking for hope.
I will bring you hope, old friend. And I ask only one thing in return.
Don't get in my way. But yeah, something, comic book fans always complained about back in the day was the X-Men, if, we live in a world with the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man and the Avengers, why are the X-Men and the mutants hated so much? It doesn't make sense. To me, I always found it as their powers were sometimes too dangerous or sometimes inadvertently hurt people. So that's why they were seen as like second-hand or second-class citizens rather. I guess even Canadians get into fights.
Ladies and
Apparently they were nervous about, putting the X-Men in the costumes and all that in this movie. Whatever, that's why they got the black leather. But Kevin Feige, who was really young and the producer on this movie, really pushed for at least give Wolverine the big comic book hair. So I'm glad they did that.
I know what you are. You lost your money. You keep this up, you lose something else. Look out!
So I know people love Logan. I think that movie's phenomenal. But I do think acting-wise, this is the best Wolverine has been on screen as a character. Also, I know Hugh Jackman is like super tall in real life, but I do like that at least in this movie, they have him like hunched down a little bit. So he looks, smaller like he was in the comic books. The one thing I never really liked about the movies and even some of the later comic books is they always have like his claws like burst out of his skin and they're bleeding all the time. When I was growing up, Wolverine, he had like these mellow grooves, like pipes that stuck out on the back of his hand, and that's where the claws came out.
What the hell are you doing?
Where am I supposed to go?
I don't know.
You don't know or you don't care?
Pick one.
Pick one. It's pretty interesting they use Rogue as their ride-along character. When I was growing up, they would always use Kitty Pryde as their entrance point for the X-Men. Or Jubilee.
Were you in the army? Doesn't that mean you were in the army?
Weapon X.
When they come out, does it hurt?
Every time. My name's Logan.
I remember in the comic books when they finally released his real name, James Howard. Damn! You know what else is interesting in this movie too? They really play up the Wolverine has a healing factor. In a lot of the original books by like Frank Miller and Chris Claremont, he had a healing factor, but it wasn't anything like this. Like if he got poisoned, it would knock him out for a little bit.
Kid, are you all right?
I'm stuck!
Sabretooth. I actually don't visually mind the direction they took with Sabretooth in this movie. If you're gonna make it more grounded and whatever, sure, make it a big guy with like animal fur. I wish they gave him a little bit more to do, but it's fine. It's gonna blow! Oh, yeah. I do like that in this movie, the X-Men just randomly pick them up. It's pretty cool. I used to think Toad was really cool as a kid in this movie. I don't know why.
You're supposed to bring someone back with you.
So the guy that plays Toad is, his name is Ray Park. He's the same guy who plays Darth Maul.
What happened?
They knew.
Once again, Jean Grey. She has some type of red on her. Foreshadowing. Wake yourself, fool! I like how he threatens people by going like this. It's also interesting that, Hugh Jackman, he was in shape for this movie, but he wasn't jacked like he is now. I kind of like this version a little bit more. I don't really see Wolverine in my head going to the gym every day. Whoever designed this hoodie, Jeff's kiss. I always wanted to buy this hoodie. I've never seen it anywhere. This one's pretty cool. I like it.
Where are you going? This way. He's over
Something else I always thought about in my head is, where the hell does Xavier get the money to have a mansion like this? Also makes you wonder what like the property taxes are, especially if it's upstate New York.
Good morning, Logan.
I feel like that's supposed to be Jubilee on the very end in the yellow. They never really say it, but that's what I assume.
Physics.
Kitty Pryde reference.
I'm Charles Xavier. Would you like some breakfast? Ah, Logan, I'd like you to meet Aurora Monroe, also called Storm. This is Scott Summers, also called Cyclops.
When they do reintroduce the X-Men, I really want to see Black Panther and Storm hook up. Power couple.
Storm. What do they call you? Wheels?
Damn, dude.
You want to get out of my way?
Everyone kind of agrees that Cyclops was wasted in these movies. He doesn't really have a lot to do.
You're not the only one with gifts.
Where are you going? He's over there.
Ooh.
What is this place?
Anonymity is a mutant's first defense against the world's hostility. To the public, we're merely a
I also do like that, you know, with this movie, they kind of reintroduced the X-Mansion as an actual school. I felt like they kind of moved away from that a little bit in the 90s.
And in time, teach others to do the same. The students are mostly runaways, frightened,
I'm actually a school teacher. I want to go work at the X-Men Academy.
incapable of physical human contact, probably for the rest of her life. And yet here she is, with others her own age, learning,
Pyro.
not feared.
It is cool that they introduce some of the other X-Men characters like Iceman in this movie.
John.
If I had to see my favorite X-Men characters, I definitely want to see Beast and Nightcrawler. I get why they were introduced in this first one. It would have been cool to see them at least.
Come what the children have affectionately called X-Men.
Welcome to Mutant High.
But the school is merely our public face. When I was 17, I met a young man named Eric Lensher. He could create magnetic fields and control metal. He grew angry and vengeful. He became Magneto.
Also, if you're gonna give exposition in a movie, having Professor X do it is a great choice. Patrick Stewart's amazing.
Give me 48 hours to find out what Magneto wants with you. And I give you my word that I will use all my power to help you piece together what you've lost.
You favor gun registration, yes? Well, some of these so-called children possess more than 10 times the destructive force of any handgun. If it were up to me, I'd lock them all away.
I feel like those type of conversations happen in real life with like senators and politicians.
Where the hell are we?
Oh, got you, sucker. Mystique. But she's naked.
You know, people like you are the reason I was afraid to go to school as a child.
Rebecca Romaine is pretty cool. I'm glad she's coming back for Doomsday. I think the look of the character from a visual standpoint is an interesting choice. I do prefer the comic book look where she has like the white outfit with the longer red hair. But if you're going for something a little bit more grounded, I guess this works. It never really made sense to me how Mystique can randomly grow clothes.
The metal is an alloy called adamantium, supposedly indestructible. It's been surgically grafted to his entire skeleton.
There was a book, I think in the late 80s called Weapon X, which tells you how they like put the metal inside Wolverine. Personally, in my brain, I always visualize them taking his bones individually out and coating them in adamantium and then putting them back in. But that's just me.
Whatever you do to me, you'll make me right. Every word I've spoken will be confirmed.
I've always thought of God as a teacher, as a bringer of light, wisdom, and understanding. You see, I think what you really are afraid of is me. Well, don't fear God, Senator, and certainly don't fear me. Not anymore.
Not anymore. Something I always wondered about, like the Brotherhood and all that in this movie, is how do they eat food? Do they just call and get it delivered or something? Like, I don't know. It just seems like a weird place to hang out in. Do they cook food down there? I don't know. I guess when you think about Magneto's plot in this movie, he wants to turn everyone into mutants. It's not a bad thing to do, I guess.
Where's your room?
With Scott down the hall.
Was that your gift, putting up with that guy?
Actually, I'm telekinetic. I can move things with my mind.
You ever wonder if the X-Men get paid?
So read my mind.
I'd rather not.
Come on. You afraid you might like it?
I doubt it.
Apparently, anytime Hugh Jackman was in a scene with any of the other X-Men, they would put them on boxes to make him look a little bit shorter than everyone. I think after this movie, they got rid of that, though.
What do you see?
Scott.
There she goes, wearing red again.
Must just burn you up that a boy like me saved your life, huh? Gotta be careful. I might not be there next time. Oh, and Logan, stay away from my girl.
I do think that if you're gonna, use this movie to introduce Wolverine and have him be the guy who, learns about the X-Men for the first time and he's the main character, maybe in the second movie, you don't make him the lead as much, but also, I never knew, why is Rogue randomly walking into his room like that? I mean, he barely knows this guy. Also, I like these visualizations of the Weapon X program a lot more than actually seeing what happens to him in an origin movie.
Help me!
Also, good acting as if you were being stabbed.
Help!
Yo, that's a skinny kid. He looks like he's like anorexic back there. Maybe that's his mutant power. I can be skinny.
What happened? Is she alright?
She'll be all right.
Everyone is randomly sneaking into Wolverine's room at night.
Their energy, their life force. In the case of mutants, she absorbs their gifts for a short while. In your case, your ability to heal.
You know what else is interesting about the X-Men? Some of them get awesome powers. Like, imagine if you were Storm, you could control the weather. Or imagine if you ended up like this dude.
What the hell have you done to me?
Oh, shit.
Tommy, let it go!
When I was a kid, I always wanted to know what that was. I think it's supposed to be a jellyfish, but I've never seen one, and not on land, so it was always weird to me. Also, I think this might be the first Marvel movie cameo of Stan Lee, right there at the hot dog stand.
You don't like him?
How could you tell?
Well, I am psychic, you know. She's gone.
I love that Wolverine has like 2 or 3 jackets on at once. He has a leather jacket, then a jean jacket, and a button-down shirt.
Welcome to Cerebro. This device amplifies my power, allowing me to locate mutants across great distances.
Why don't you just use it to find Magneto?
I've been trying, but he seems to have found some way to shield
So
himself.
supposedly when they were making this movie, they were trying to figure out, why does Magneto wear a helmet? Because it was never really discussed in the comic books. So this movie actually came up with the idea that Magneto's helmet blocks Cerebro, which I thought was cool. Very similar to Juggernaut.
She's at the train station.
What?
X-Men are very good at branding. Everything has an X on it. I feel like every kid wanted that motorcycle growing up.
I'm sorry about last night.
Me too. Welcome, Professor.
Also, for a movie that's like 26 years old, the CGI holds up pretty well with Mystique. I think it helps that they only really have to worry about the transition. They have a real actor for Mystique, a real actor for the person she's pretending to be. They just have to CGI the middle.
Scream for me.
I like how nobody's doing anything. This guy's choking out this black lady and everyone's like...
Quit playing around.
He looks like he's about to teabag him.
You must be Wolverine.
So, kind of a weird Easter egg. If you look at Wolverine's hands closely in this scene, you can see the screws on his claws. I think they made this movie before the comic book said that his claws were actually made of bone first. Which, by the way, I like the bone claws. I know some people don't like them. I always thought they were cool.
Whoever said I wanted you?
Oh, shit. Damn. Got him.
Young people.
I'm also kind of surprised that they gave Magneto the helmet in this movie. They thought the X-Men uniforms were too dorky, but they gave Magneto the purple helmet. I wonder how they pulled the guns from those people's hands, like behind the scenes. Maybe they were on like wires or something.
Wanna come out where I can see you, Charles? Let them pass that law and they'll have you in chains with a number burned into your forehead.
Be that way.
Then kill me and find out.
I love their relationship. I remember this scene like scarred me for life as a kid.
I don't think I can stop them all. Goodbye, Charles.
Storm has an X-Men necklace. It's kind of cool.
Where are you going?
I'm gonna find her.
How?
The traditional way. Look. You know, Magneto's right. There's a war coming. You sure you're on the right side?
At least I've chosen a side.
Ooh. I like that sometimes Wolverine and Storm hook up in the comic books, even though she's supposed to be like super tall Amazon lady. And he's a short Canadian. Wolverine is like the ultimate sword king.
Senator Kelly, I want you to try and relax.
What was interesting in the comic books for a long time, Professor X sent the X-Men out to represent mutant kind, but he never openly, outed himself as a mutant to the public for a long time. I always thought that was kind of contradictory. These movies do humanize Professor X a little bit more, though. Makes him more like a father figure. In the comics, he was kind of a shady dude sometimes.
Welcome to the future, brother.
What effect does the radiation have on mutants?
There appears to be none, but I fear that it will seriously harm any normal person exposed to it.
This dude is always looking slimy.
You hate normal people.
I hate slimy people.
I suppose I'm afraid of them.
Storm was a very complex character in the comic books. She was very claustrophobic. She would have moments when she would, change her hair, get a mohawk, when she was self-conscious. We don't get any of that in the movies. It's so weird. The guy just melted. Wolverine, how many jackets are you gonna put on, dude?
Hey, why don't you take your little mission and stick it up your...
Senator Kelly is dead.
I just know that Storm has claw marks on her neck from Sabretooth. Ah, shit. Ah, migraine. That's how I feel when I get home from work on a Monday.
Jane?
Jane?
I know where Magneto's going.
It's crazy that the Twin Towers were there.
You actually go outside in these things?
What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
Yes. As a kid, I didn't mind the black leather growing up. It did make them visually stand out amongst the other superheroes. However, I do prefer that they have colorful outfits. It was visually stimulating.
Okay, there's the bridge. I'm taking her down.
They say that the Matrix kind of inspired the black suit look. I could see that. I think they were just nervous about putting them in bright, colorful outfits, especially after Batman and Robin came out.
You'll be my only defense.
Oh shit, I gotta do what?
Sounds like a storm's coming.
So Kevin Smith famously said in a podcast that the movie's great, but it's funny that the last act takes place in a gift shop. I never noticed that, but it's kind of true. It's a little city on the surface. Hugh Jackman versus Hugh Jackman. Go! Got you, sucker. Looks like a video game a little bit. I do like a little bit that Jean Grey is helpless in this movie. She was kind of like that in the comic books originally. And then eventually they're like, nah, she's holding back. Did she kick him in the pelvis? That's why it made a clank sound. It's pretty awesome.
Don't move.
They do make Mystique a badass in this movie. I'll say that. Oh shit. Here we go again. Get it. I love that they actually gave her the white eyes too from the comic book.
You know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to
everything else. Apparently, the reason she said that random line is because throughout the movie, Toad would make comments. You know what happens when a toad does this and does that? But they cut all of those out of the movie. Also, this is a great transition.
Come on. We have to regroup.
I know, but there's a problem. You're not part of the group.
The way it was like cut makes it feel like that's the real storm.
Hey, it's me. Prove it. You're a dick. Okay.
Apparently, this movie had a bunch of different rewrites before they made it into production. The "You a dick" line was from Joss Whedon, who would eventually go on to write his own X-Men series and make the first Avengers movie. Also, I remember seeing in a behind-the-scenes thing one time that they couldn't really move practically in these leather suits. So things like getting over the side of like a ledge or a hill was very difficult. So they had to be careful how they filmed certain scenes.
So the good senator survived his fall. And the swim to shore.
He's dead. It's true. I saw him die. Like those people down there will die.
I don't got time for this shit. There were stories where Magneto is so strong he can literally like reverse the polarity of the Earth. It's pretty crazy. Got you, sucker. This is mine. Y'all shit, my bad. PlayStation graphics coming up. I do want to see Wolverine and Sabretooth have a rivalry when they do reboot this series one day.
Jean?
Scott, when I tell you, open your eyes. No, trust me.
You dropped something?
No.
I always wanted to know if Sabretooth dies there, because we never see him again in any of the later movies.
Gotta get her out of there.
But a lot of the times, he's supposed to have the same healing factor as Wolverine.
You could fly right over the torch.
Then let me go. If I don't make it, then at least you can still blast the damn thing.
All right, do it. Jean, use your power. Try to steady him.
Hang on to something.
Scott, wait.
Every time I see his claws bend like that, I think about like the bones bending in his hands. Do you want mutant powers if it meant you had the possibility of dying like 24 hours later? I'd take that bet. Let me know in the comments. Interesting that this is story-wise in the movies why Rogue has that white streak of hair. I don't know if they ever explained that in the books. Maybe they did.
This one's alive. Let's get him out of here.
Hilarious pose. I wish they would play with that more and be like, oh, this is another reason why we hate the mutants. They're out here killing police officers. That could have been cool to develop in the sequels and stuff.
Welcome back. I knew you'd find your way.
Have you?
Yo, Professor X has a hairy chest. He's a man's man. Similar to Magneto, I think a lot of people growing up before my generation knew Patrick Stewart as Jean-Luc Picard from Star Trek. I first knew him as Professor X, and eventually he became Jean-Luc to me.
It'll work.
Yeah, she's fine. She took on a few of your more charming personality traits for a while.
Like alcohol and verbal abuse and violence.
Wow. You can tell her my heart belongs to someone else.
Hey, easy now. Easy, easy.
You and I...
How's the professor?
He's good.
You running again?
That was a weird shot. She had hair in her mouth, and then the next minute it was gone.
I'll be back for this.
There's interesting stories where some people try to, play with the idea that what if Wolverine is actually sent to assassinate and murder Professor X, and Professor X mind melded him to stay with the X-Men.
Doesn't it ever wake you in the middle of the night? The feeling that someday they will pass that foolish law, or one just like it, and come for you. I feel a great swell of pity for the poor soul who comes to that school looking for trouble.
I wonder if the actors actually had to learn how to play chess, or if they were just told, hey, move these pieces.
The war is still coming, Charles, and I intend to fight it. By any means necessary.
I will always be there.
Old friend.
A lot of people have made the comparison of Magneto and Professor X to Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. I think that's kind of true. It's kind of a very surface level understanding of them, but I think that line, by any means necessary, was a reference to that. That was 2000's X-Men, directed by Bryan Singer. I know Bryan Singer's kind of a controversial guy, but I do think this movie's great. I think it still holds up today. I kind of wish more people would go back and watch it, because it feels like, the X-Men have kind of, stepped out of the limelight a little bit, in favor of other heroes like Iron Man and Thor and the Hulk and all of them. But growing up as a 90s kid, the X-Men were always huge. None of the acting stands out as being bad to me. Everyone does a great job. I do wish that they gave Storm and Cyclops a little bit more to do, just because both of them, traditionally are the leaders of the X-Men at different points. Funny story, actually, supposedly no comic books were allowed on set during the making of this movie. The producers and Bryan Singer didn't want the actors to be influenced as if they were making a comic book movie during filming. So different people on the set would slide comic books under Hugh Jackman's trailer doors. So he would read them like in between takes, like when no one was looking and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. I do think though it's time to see newer people step into these roles. I want to see a new Wolverine, maybe someone who's a little bit shorter and a little bit more stocky, because that's kind of what Wolverine was, in the books. He wasn't someone who was a bodybuilder. He was more of an angry little, drunk Canadian guy all the time. Same thing with Storm. It'd be cool to have someone, really lean into the like African roots of the character, because he was kind of like this, African goddess who like brought rain down for villages and stuff like that, which was a cool idea. Magneto's great in this movie. Ian McKellen does a great job. Very ballsy move to open this movie up with a concentration camp and a Holocaust scene, but it's kind of a smart choice because as soon as you see that, you automatically sympathize with Magneto because you know where he's coming from. So, good choice in that standpoint. This was a great introduction. I'm very curious to see how they're going to bring them back for Avengers Doomsday. I do hope that they kind of put Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man together in a scene. Those are my big superhero icons growing up, so it'd be cool to see them finally interact. Once we get closer to Avengers Doomsday later on in the year, I'm going to go ahead and watch X2 at that point, because that's a movie where I think the sequel actually surpasses the first movie. But all that being said, thank you for checking in. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe on this video. Let me know if you think I'm doing a great job. I'm excited to see what movies are in play for the 2026 year. Peace out.